Is there a homeowners insurance crisis in Florida?
We're going to break everything down and share our personal story of what's actually happened with us over the last year since Hurricane Ian, and we're getting started right now.
So it's been almost a year since Hurricane Ian, and some people are still dealing with the aftermath, basically. In our personal experience, we basically just stopped dealing with it like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so almost an entire year.
Yes, of trying to get the insurance sorted out, get the contractors and all that stuff.
So in the middle of this process, actually towards the tail end of it, like about 3-ish months ago, 2 months ago maybe, we got a letter from our insurance company basically saying they were going insolvent, which means they're out of business. And another company picked up our policy and finished it out for the year. And then the remainder of what they owed us, because we still had some certain things that had to get fixed yet, and we had to show proof that it was done. And then they were giving us the remainder of the money to pay the contractors. That remainder of that money, the state of Florida, FIGA, paid out. Florida Insurance Guarantee Association, I believe is what it stands for. And anyways, they gave us the remainder of the money. We got that a couple weeks ago. So Slide took over our company, which is, I think, a newer company in the state. And we got our renewal premium. So basically they kept our, same insurance policy rates. Everything was pretty much comparable until the end of the year. And then when the new contract hit, we had a shocker on our hands.
Yes, definitely. So our new insurance premium with this new company that took basically over our policy, over our previous insurance company, it was $4,500
yeah, it was
a year.
$3,000 more, tripled.
Yes.
Tripled the cost for the premium.
So when we saw that, we were like, okay, like what is going on? Is this going to be the same for like every insurance company that we go to? Like, is that going to be our new reality? Now we're paying $4,500 a year for an insurance company. So we actually started looking into different companies, and we were able to find one that came down to like $2,500.
Yeah.
So half of what Slide's new policy would have been, which is still higher than what we had prior to Ian, but it's, in my opinion, it's still affordable.
Pretty doable too.
Yeah.
For everyone, if you have a really tight budget, that could be a
Yes.
problem. So
Yes.
that's something to consider when you're looking to buy a home in Florida.
Definitely, yes. So yeah, just keep in mind that insurance premiums did go up, and that will affect your monthly payments. But you are still able to find companies that are maybe not as affordable as they used to be. Florida's homeowners insurance has always been higher because of the risk of being in a peninsula.
And one thing to consider with that, with the risk, is the prices will be higher, number one. But number two, because of that and some other things that we'll get into a little bit, a lot of companies have gone out of business pretty much after Hurricane Ian. That was kind of like
already.
True. But that, for a lot of companies, I think that was like the final blow, just because that one really hit the entire state. It went all the way across to Daytona from the Gulf Coast. So yeah, a lot of cities got hit.
Yes. So for a lot of insurance companies, the main thing they're looking at right now is the roof age. So if you have a roof that's 15 years or older, you're going to have a hard time finding an insurance company that will insure you.
Is it possible?
It is possible. I believe like Citizens, that's like a government ran insurance, I think they will pick up your insurance, but your premiums are going to be higher because you're a higher risk. So having an insurance company, and just a disclaimer, we're not insurance brokers. We're just speaking out of the knowledge that we have.
She's a real estate agent, so she works with this kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're looking to buy or sell home in the area,
make sure to call, text, or email us 941-221-1897.
Call or text at any time. Whether you're looking to move in the next few days or the next few months, we'll always have your back. And we are in the Sarasota, Inglewood, Northport, Venice area. And if you're looking for something outside the area, we'll have a different link for you in the description that you can use to find a great realtor.
So if you have a roof that's 15 years or younger, you'll be able to find insurance quite easily. If you have a tile or a metal roof, you'll have no problem there.
Yeah.
And your premiums might even be lower just because the roof for Florida, in my opinion, tile and metal are the best that you can have.
They're going to last longer. They're more durable generally. We have heard some stories of people's having issues.
Yes.
But yeah, and insurance companies are usually going to, give you a better rate for that. And there's other factors such as they'll do like what's called a wind mitigation report. And they're going to look at like your windows, are they hurricane impact windows? You have hurricane shutters, all those kinds of things that can help bring your rates down. But the question remains, is there an insurance crisis in Florida? So that gives you a little bit of the part of the story, right? As far as what to expect, what's happening with prices. Yes, they are going up. And I think the bigger question is, are they going to continue to go up, number one? And number two, are there going to be any companies left to insure people? So you can say from her firsthand experience, there's a lot of companies still.
There is, yes. And before the hurricane, the insurance companies were already pulling out because there were so many factors that it just didn't make sense for them to be in business in Florida. And one of those things is that, for example, if a homeowner got a claim denied and they felt that it was wrongful, like they should have, say they needed the roof to be approved and the insurance company didn't approve it, now the homeowner could go and sue the insurance company. And in order to do that, they would, just hire a lawyer and go to court. And these lawyers were making a lot of money. Say the insurance company now has to pay the homeowner for like $10,000 or $15,000 for that new roof. What the lawyers were making on top of the $15,000 that the insurance company had to pay was just ridiculous. So that's why a lot of companies were going out of business, because they couldn't afford all those fees, because the homeowner is not paying, but the insurance company themselves, they're paying the lawyers, all the lawyer fees on top of insuring the home. So a lot of companies were pulling out because of that. It seems like the legislation has changed to kind of like help keeping that under control.
And that right there should make a pretty big difference with helping, other companies coming into the state and ones that are here being able to stay in business, and then creating more competition. There's also other few things that happen legislatively that should help. It might take a couple years to see the effects of these things, maybe 2 to 3 years.
Basically, the new legislation that was passed, it's mainly to keep transparency and protect homeowners as well as insurance companies. Insurance companies, they are a business, right? They need to make money in order to stay in business. So they need certain protections as well as homeowners. But it seems that the legislation is going to also empower homeowners and be able to give lower rates by creating more competition. So as long as you're able to include those higher premiums within your budget, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, and another thing to consider too is, so this has also changed in law. You used to have issues with like roofers charging a ridiculous amount of money. They would, and because they knew they were going to get paid, they would work it out so they get paid directly from the insurance company, and they would really like jack up the cost of like what the roof was going to be. Those costs have gone up anyways over the last year, just because of supply and demand, because all the people needing new roofs from Hurricane Ian really drove up costs of shingles, and just materials were high to begin with everywhere. I mean, because of all the shortages that we experienced over the last couple of years. And then there's a list of a few other things that we wanted to go through that are right from Florida's government website as far as changes that should help drive some more competition, bring more insurance companies back in, and make things a little more transparent and just less, people trying to game the system to get extra money, and then that makes it hard for the insurance company to stay in business, and now you have less competition, and with less competition comes higher prices for us, and we don't like that. So the first is that clarifying that once a roof deductible is applied, no other deductible under the policy may be applied to any loss caused by the same covered peril. Put that in English.
So basically this just means you'll just have one deductible, and once you pay that deductible, so like for example, if the roof, you need a new roof and the insurance company approves it, you have a $5,000 deductible. You'll pay the $5,000 deductible, but you won't pay anything else for, like, say if something else happened with the house, like, I don't know, the fence needs to be replaced or something like that. So you're just paying one time, one deductible, and everything will get insured.
The next is requiring property insurance mitigation discounts be applied at least every 5 years, and requiring insurers to provide consumer-friendly information on their website describing hurricane mitigation discounts available to policyholders. So that's kind of some of the things we were talking about before, just being transparent about that from the insurance company, saying, if you do this, we'll lower your rate, so you know exactly what you're dealing with. The next is requiring liability insurers to follow proper claims handling practices on behalf of their policyholders, and increasing penalties for insurers who don't.
Yeah, so this is just to protect homeowners, again, transparency. And insurance companies, because they're being transparent, they won't be able to
find little sneaky ways of not
insuring you because of whatever fine print.
Yeah, or not giving you the money that you should be. Prohibiting any altering or amending of an adjuster's report without providing a detailed explanation for any reduction of the estimate of the loss. That's really good.
Yeah.
And in our experience, it depends. We've heard and seen other people have different experiences, but usually, at least after Hurricane Ian, the adjusters were really, really good. Like, they would go out of their way to make sure like that you got every little thing covered that should have been covered and at a fair price.
But I do think that also has to do with the insurance companies too, because some insurance companies might want to hire adjusters that are like tough on everything, and they're, while the adjuster is looking at everything, they might fight you on like, oh no, that's not a big problem, or that probably didn't happen when the hurricane hit, so like that was probably an issue beforehand. So having a good insurance company, I think it's the main key here.
And one thing to keep in mind that you'll see with roofs, because we had this with our roof, if your roof is older but not quite at the age where it's on, it's under that 15-year age we talked about before, and maybe wouldn't need to be replaced, the sun and the rain in Florida does make those shingles brittle. So at about 12, 13 years, let's say you have a hurricane come through and you lose a bunch of shingles towards the bottom of the roof. Well, to replace those shingles down here, you're gonna have to lift these shingles that are above it. But if they're brittle, those shingles are gonna get cracked, and it keeps going up as you keep replacing those shingles, right? So eventually what you end up having to do is replace the whole roof. Now, you will have some insurance companies, we've seen videos of this on YouTube, basically saying they'll have the adjuster come out for the company and say, oh no, you just need to lift this shingle right way. You're not doing it right, and that's why it's breaking, right? So, if it wasn't for the hurricane and you losing this shingle here, you wouldn't have to worry about all these shingles up here being brittle, but because you got to start moving them around, you might have a total loss of that roof and need it entirely replaced and covered. So that's one thing we have seen with adjusters, just to give you an example of something that's common and a little more costly. Next is prohibiting officers and directors of impaired or insolvent insurers from receiving a bonus. That seems pretty, like, I can't believe that was a thing to begin with.
Yes.
And then the next one is increasing the maximum administrative fines that may be levied by the OIR on insurance companies by 250% generally and 500% for violations stemming from a state of emergency such as a hurricane. That's a good thing to have in place. So gotta protect people when you got a big disaster coming like that.
And there were a lot of protections already with hurricanes. Like, for instance, our company was probably, and actually I did read that our company was going out of business like a year or two ago, probably a year before the hurricane hit. Then the hurricane hit. They could not go out of business until they had all the claims handled and everything sorted out, because the legislation won't allow for that insurance company to go out of business, because now we won't be covered. Like, now we're like figuring out how to get the roof replaced ourselves, right? So that's why a month or two after we received our first check from the insurance company, we received a letter saying, we're going out of business.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Figure out from there. But, we were protected from that first chunk of money, and then the second chunk of money that came from the state. So yeah, the protections are there. Just again, make sure you are with a good insurance company. And with the legislation now, it's going to be even tougher for them to try to game the system. So yeah, all of this will ultimately benefit the homeowners. If you're looking to move to the Venice, Sarasota areas, make sure to call, text, or email us. I am a local realtor here, 941-221-1897.
Call or text anytime, whether you're looking to move in the next few days, next few months, we'll always have your back. We hear from people all the time and we love it. And if you're looking for someone outside of that area, we will have a link in the description where you can get connected with a great vetted realtor that really knows the local area that you're looking to move to.
If you found this video helpful, click the like button, subscribe, turn all notifications on, and
Live breezy.